Oh my God. Woo! I used my helmet.
If you haven't heard of the Palmer Snowfield, then you've obviously never gone skiing on Mount Hood. Since Palmer is a year-round snowfield, usually, at least before all this planet-warming nonsense, the entire North American ski scene kind of descends on government camp during the summer to ski here, since Timberline ski area really only shuts down for a couple of weeks a year. When there's snow all the way down to the lodge, you can skin up Palmer. Heck, you can climb the mountain if you want to, but before we get to that, I need to remind you to navigate to patreon.com and contribute if you want to help support more informational content like this. Lots of people climb Mount Hood, and the track you'll be using to climb to the top of Palmer is the same track the climbers use to summit. The track starts at the lodge, not at the stupid place we started by the overflow parking, but whatever, this worked too. Basically, there are lots of different ways to make your way up to the climbing track, which, if you're just climbing to the top of the ski lift from the lodge, makes for a one-sandwich tour with 2,500 feet of climbing and 4,800 feet of descent if you took the shuttle bus or left a car at the bottom so that you can ski all the way down to government camp, which you should absolutely do if snow conditions permit. Once you get onto the skin track, Palmer is a remarkably uneventful climb. A lot of the time, you're climbing on corduroy, after all, which totally makes sense if you think about it, as you're basically skiing right up the side of the Timberline ski area, and they have an agreement with the Forest Service to make things a little nicer for the folks who are trying to summit Mount Hood. The grade starts out being not too steep, really, but it's kind of deceptive as it keeps getting steeper and steeper progressively as you climb. But if you're just going up to the lift, it will not be necessary to boot pack or use crampons or do anything crazy like that. The mountain actually gets steep enough that, at least in my case, I needed to use my second riser by the time I was getting close to the lift. There was even a little bit of backsliding trying to happen if I wasn't vigilant about throwing my weight back to keep the skins engaged. Upon arriving at this cat track, you can choose either to keep climbing up to Illumination Rock, if you please, or head west toward the top of the Palmer ski lift. On clear days when it's rideable, this part of the Palmer Snowfield is frequently groomed as the Timberline Lodge ski area operates snowcats that shuttle skiers to the top here when they haven't yet gotten around to digging out the lift and getting it running. This is a steep run here up at the top. Usually the snow conditions up here are pretty sketchy outside of the groomed areas because there's a lot of refreezing and wind scouring happening up here above the timberline, but every now and then you'll come across perfect spring snow, and you can cut loose outside the boundaries. Within reason, of course. You also don't want to find yourself skiing off the zigzag cliffs or down the Salmon River Canyon. If you do that, you're going to have a bad time. But still, this is one of my favorite places to ski just because this snowfield is where I genuinely learned how to carve. Because when it's groomed and the snow is soft, there's literally no better place to just bang out lap after lap after lap until your legs are jello. Keep in mind, though, that conditions can shift to whiteout pretty quickly and almost without warning up here. The best way to ski all the way down to government camp is to get onto the Alpine Trail, and to do that, you'll need to pay attention to where you're at. When you see these two lift houses marking the top of Magic Mile and the bottom of the Palmer lift, you'll want to go right, past the ramp off the Magic Mile lift house. Ski past the ramp and then proceed to cross underneath the lift. In the distance, you'll see a ski lift to the far right. That lift is Storm and Norman, and that's where you're headed. Obviously, you're not going to shred the terrain park on your backcountry skis with a pack on, at least you'd better not, but to the left of the terrain park is a canyon that threads its way all the way down to the bottom of Storm and Norman. It's a fun little slalom course, but be careful when it's icy. Also, always wear a helmet. This is the first time I've fallen in years. It can happen to you too. If the natural slalom course is too icy to ride, as it was the day we rode this, you can descend through the terrain park. Just stay on the very edge and don't get in the shredder's way. They paid good money to injure themselves up here. Don't take that away from them. The terrain park, which I notice has been significantly expanded since the last time I was frequenting these ski runs, will eventually guide you right to the bottom of the ski lift. Ski past the bottom of Storm and Norman and keep looking to your right. The top of the Alpine Trail is clearly marked by this orange sign telling you there's no lift access to Timberline, like some sort of buzzkill. The Alpine Trail is narrow, kind of steep in one or two places, but also really flat in some others. Split boarders might need their poles out on a powder day or when the snow is too warm. The Alpine Trail is easier than the top of Palmer, so no one who came down here from the top is going to get trapped up here. The bottom of the Alpine Trail ends at the top of the summit ski area. Be careful and courteous through the summit ski area. There are a lot of future shredders just learning how to ski in here. Anyway, the bottom of the ski area dumps you conveniently on the east side of government camp. I'd like to take this moment to thank all my Patreon supporters, especially my Loamy Goodness level sponsors Andy Sewery, Charles Kim, Damon Corey, Randy Relaford, and Ty Morgan Marbett. I'd also like to thank my Hero Dirt level sponsors, earning their special mention at the end of this video: Bryce Ulrich, Heather Van Valkenburg, Jason Moore, and Pedro Cantorini. If you'd like to join this list of generous adventurers, navigate to patreon.com/voiceovertrails today and choose a sponsorship level that feels appropriate for what you get out of this channel. Now, get out there and go shred some POW.